All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the August 10th, 2022 meeting of the Senior Commission. I will call roll. Commissioner Ambrosi.
Present.
Commissioner Crawford.
Present.
Commissioner Knapp.
Present.
Commissioner Meeks.
Present.
Commissioner Zamora.
Present.
All right. And will Commissioner Knapp lead us in the pledge?
Everybody stand. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, moving on to public comment. Citizens addressing the commission during public comment are asked to approach the podium and are limited to 3 minutes unless extended by the chair, and must be regarding items that are not listed on the agenda and are within the city's jurisdiction. The Brown Act does not permit any action or discussion on items not listed on the agenda. No action will be taken on items addressed under public comment. I will now open up the floor for public comment.
Yeah. It's like Old Home Week here. Everybody knows everybody. And this is actually my first attendance at a meeting. My name is Jane, and just to put things in perspective, I have been here since Highway 65 was a 2-lane highway going to Lincoln. I'm not a newbie. I have been here since before the ball. I have been here when Roseville Hospital was on Francis Street. So I've been around a while and have lived in either Rockland or Roseville during that period. My concern is that I live at 1725 Pleasant Grove Boulevard, apartment 107. It is an Eschaton, Roseville, affordable housing for seniors facility, independent living. And may I ask a quick trivia question? Does anyone of you know what Eschaton means?
No.
Well, yes, but I work there, so not fair that I answer.
Do we know what it really actually means? Because according to the definition, it is the day of the end following Armageddon, when God will decree the fates of all individual humans according to the good or evil of their earthly lives. How's that for a happy thing to wake up to every morning? Is that lovely? Well, anyway, most of the people who live in my facility never raised their hand at the high school saying, I want to be in HUD housing when I grow up. I certainly did not. But we all know that health, finances, circumstances change for people. And I want to say that I have, of the 50 units that make up Eschaton, where I live, we are south of Pleasant Grove Boulevard, and we are west of Fitiment. So do you have any idea of how close the waste treatment facility is for hazardous materials and for e-waste from that corner? It's about 10 miles round trip. Does anyone know the current price of gasoline?
Oh, yes.
So when I have, my final question is, what do you think the favorite thing for all these people to do? Their average age is probably, I'm guessing, 80. And they, I'd say that at least 60% do not even own a car. So what do you think their favorite thing to do every day is? Walk. Watch TV. Now, if you know anything about hazardous materials, Mahaney Park used to have at their museum a place where you could drop things off. I happen to be the lucky owner of a car, one of probably only 40% of the people who have a car there. It is a fabulous 100,000-mile, 15-year-old Subaru. And I, on many occasions, take people to the doctors, run errands, whatever, because that's what we're supposed to do. I have a neighbor, 80 years old, no car. She had a stack of e-waste, at least this high, because if you know anything about Roseville Telephone, CCI, Shore West, whatever you want to call it, things are changing. And so they're getting streaming. And come fall, there's going to be a whole other price increase and a whole other thing coming down the line. So she wanted to throw it in the dumpster. But I said, no, we don't throw things in the dumpster like that. We have to take it to facility. In doing that, I put it in my car and drove out so that we could responsibly get rid of that material. But before I did that, I called my recent insert in my City of Roseville utilities bill that said, if you have e-waste, just call. We'll come and get it.
Right. Wow.
Not true. They do not come to apartments. They will not come to senior apartments. I mean, we are not your average apartment. And so I would hope that for some reason, at the price of gas and the 10 miles that it took me, and this was only one person, is there some way we can set it up so that e-waste can be responsibly disposed of without individuals having to go out to the facility when they can't get there? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
If there's no more public comments, we'll go on to item number 5. So item number 5 is to approve the minutes from our last meeting. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Then the minutes pass. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Nearson. I'm your Parks, Recreation, Libraries Manager. As you see right now, we have 2 vacancies on our commission, one being the vice chair and one being the chair. So what we need to do today is we need to nominate a temporary presiding officer for today's meeting to take us through the agenda. So with that, I will open it up to the commission if there's any nominations to select a temporary presiding officer for today.
I nominate Nicole Zamora.
I second.
Vote? Maybe we're doing a vote?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Congratulations, Nicole. It'll be painless, we promise you. Yeah, you'll do great. Okay?
Well, how exciting. Well, first of all, thank you all for being here today. Usually there's not that many faces looking back at us. So that is both nerve-wracking and exciting at the same time. So I will continue then, and I will take us. So next on the agenda is item 6.2, but that person was not able to attend. So we will move on to item 6.3, which is Placer Rides. What will I do if I can't drive?
Haven't we missed 6.1, the temporary vice chair?
That's what we just did.
Oh, so who is the temporary chair?
So we're just selecting one temporary presiding officer today.
Oh, today.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand
That's okay.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will move on to item 6.3, Placer Rides. What will I do if I can't drive presentation?
Okay, I'm ready. Slides, please. Thank you. I'm Debbie Tyler from Seniors First, and Seniors First is the administrator for the program called Placer Rides, that is funded by Western Placer Consolidated Transportation Services, and also we receive some funding from Area 4 on Aging as well as Sutter Hospital. The next slide, please. Seniors First provides 3 direct services. One of those services, well, first of all, we have 23 staff. 2.5 of those staff are dedicated specifically to the Placer Rides program. We have an information and assistance unit, which is really an education unit. We average 460, actually maximum this year was over 600 phone calls in 1 month, answering a variety of questions regarding senior services and resources. About 20% of our calls are related to transportation service needs. We also have the Meals on Wheels program. We deliver at this current time right around 440 meals on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, along with 2, those are hot meals, and along with 2 frozen meals, so that it equates to 5 lunches a week. Transportation and information flyers such as the ones that I'm going to talk to you about today are also provided to people that are on Meals on Wheels so that they can access our program as well. But those are the 3 primary direct services that Seniors First provides at this particular time. Next slide, please. As many of you may know, July 1st of 2021, Placer County Transit terminated the My Rides program and the Health Express program. At that time, My Rides was a volunteer-based program. We had around 75 volunteers that provided up to 600 rides per month to folks. The drivers were volunteers, and they were people that we knew that we had recruited. And along with that, it had the Health Express program. The Health Express program was a public bus that had 600 people registered with it. Unfortunately, there were only 45 active users for that program. That program was funded at about $750,000 a year. So to only serve 45, 50 people, it's probably not the biggest bang for their dollar. So they had to change their model. Health Express would go from one city to another. It also crossed county lines into Sacramento. So as many of you probably know, and I'm seeing some heads nod out there too, is that our healthcare system is pretty much spread out around Placer County depending on where you live, what service you have, and sometimes you have to go to Sacramento to get there, and it's very difficult and almost impossible to do it on a public bus because of the number of transfers you have to do. So on July 1st, they created the program called Placer Rides. Next slide, please. So Placer Rides, there's 3 different components on this. Could you click on those, please? So Placer Rides is a variety of different programs. One is information and assistance. So we're out here to help educate everyone about what's available to them in the public, whether it be public transportation, a way that you could get transportation funded through, for example, your Medicare supplemental or Medicare Advantage plan, through Medi-Cal, through the VA, a variety of ways that you can actually help obtain financial assistance for your program. So we really want to do a lot of education for folks. That's our number one goal. The second one is that Placer Rides is a reimbursement program. We, as of the 1st of July, reimburse 62.5 cents. And I was thinking as Jane was speaking here earlier that 62.5 cents per mile, up to 200 miles per month for each rider, as need be for what are called essential rides. Essential rides being those rides to medical events, grocery stores, those types of things that are out there. And I'm going to give you some numbers as we go along with this as well. Another program that's associated with that is Placer Rides Last Resort. Many of us don't have a friend or a family member or anyone that can drive us, so we still need to get to those medical appointments, or maybe they're not available the day that you're looking at to go. So what we do, we've crossed everything off the sheet that we need to look at first, we can do what's called 2 last resort rides that are funded by Placer County Transit, and we use commercial providers to do that. Next slide, please. We have another component of our program that we call the chronic health component, and I'll speak to that a little bit later as well. So the eligibility criteria for our program is you need to be 60 years of age or older. There's no financial criteria involved. Or you need to have low income. We don't do a lot of asking you questions about your low income. We could look at the fact that you might live at Eschaton, so that would qualify you. You may have Medi-Cal, you may have CalFresh. Those things we're going to look at, just asking you those sort of non-invasive questions. Or to be disabled, you qualify for our program as well. Next slide. This slide we're going to look at for about 2 seconds because the numbers only went through the 3rd quarter. This morning I had my staff finishing up for me some numbers from 21-22, what we actually provided. We have, as of the end of last June, a total rider enrollment of 425 people. Out of those 425 people, 100 of them are Roseville residents. So that's about 25% or so of the number of people enrolled. Out of those, we have 225 active riders. That means they participate in 1 or all 3 or 4 of our programs. Roseville, out of that, has 58 active riders. During the last fiscal year, we had 76 individuals that were reimbursed for up to 4,667 one-way trips, and I'm going to address the one-way issue here in a moment, with over 12,234 miles being driven. 17 of those, of the 76 riders were from Roseville. Why do we do one-way trips? People always say, how am I supposed to get home if you're doing one-way trips? Well, what that means is you may go from home to the doctor, and then from the doctor to the bank, and then from the bank to the grocery store, and then home. That's 4 one-way trips. If we did round trips, it would be, I'm going to call it a nightmare for us to be able to count the trips. So they're one-way trips is what we're looking at, and that's what most transporters are looking at when they're doing that. 122 individuals were provided commercial rides for 645 one-way trips, equating to another 12,020 miles. 30 of those riders were from Roseville, and they were using the last resort rides. Then we had 26 individuals who were provided commercial rides for the chronic health conditions program for a total of 1,806 trips over 29,000 miles. 11 of those riders were from Roseville. So you're running about 1/4 of the number of people under each one of those components. What chronic health means to you, so that you have an idea, chronic health means you have a condition such as you're in need of your end-stage renal disease, you need dialysis, chemotherapy, physical therapy. We actually had a lady who has required trips on a gurney because she was unable to even sit up in a wheelchair, so we were able to transport those folks. If you're looking at dialysis, typically we're doing 3 rides a week, round trip, times 4 times a month, that's about 12 rides. And an average cost for one of those rides is somewhere between $60 to $70 because most of those folks are in wheelchairs. They need door-to-door service, not curb-to-curb service like Dial-A-Ride provides, but actually somebody to come to the door, get them into the van, get the tie-downs done, and then assist them back to the other areas. So that's kind of what the picture looks like and what Roseville's component is of it. So we can go to the next slide. We'll move on from that one. Which, by the way, we're right now mailing out anywhere between 30 and 45 applications a month for the program. They don't all come back, but we are getting those people that are looking for those as well. So some of the challenges that we've come to, and this is usually an interesting question for us because when we first started, people who could call us up and say, Debbie, I need a ride to the doctor. Can you find me a volunteer to drive me, right? Is very different than you call me up and say, I need a ride to the doctor, and I say, so have you checked with your friends, family member, neighbors, someone who has a car and is able to drive you? Well, if I knew someone who could drive me, I wouldn't be calling you, right? Well, let's talk about it. If you couldn't get there if we weren't in existence and we weren't able to help you, how would you get there? Then usually people will tell us, well, somebody from church will drive me or whatever. So we want to introduce that idea of reimbursement for mileage. When the gas prices went through the roof, right, that makes a huge difference. I'm not so uncomfortable asking my neighbor to drive me because I'm able to give them something in return for driving me. And when we first started the program, we had the sweetest lady call. And she was so grateful for the program to start up the way it is because she said, I used to go out and I'd have a friend drive me, but then I would buy her lunch. And she said, I don't have to buy lunches anymore, do I? I don't think so. So I think that's made a real difference. And also, it's not so embarrassing to ask if we know we're going to be able to help people out a little bit. So another of our challenges has been the lack of services available to our rural areas. We're an interesting county. We have Roseville, and you guys are the big population folks, right? And then we have Auburn, that's kind of the bigger population at the other end of the county. Lincoln's in the middle, and then we have places like Sheridan, we have Gold Country, we have Applegate, places like that we also serve. So it's really dependent upon where you live. Population served by the program has had many challenges. One is the mobility of the folks that we serve. I like to remind folks that as we age, I hate to say this out loud, but as we age, we're not quite as mobile as we used to be, okay? And for some folks, cognitive functioning has made a big difference as well. So let me tell you the types of commercial service we use. We use taxi cabs, we use Uber, we use Lyft, cautiously. Not because Uber and Lyft is bad, but a lot of people can't cognitively manage the way Uber and Lyft works. One of those things being when you walk out of the doctor's office, you have to have your phone on, you have to be text savvy, because they're going to tell you that Debbie's coming to pick you up, she's in her red Jeep, and her license number is such and such, right? So there's things that we had to look at and really, as well as finding somebody that's able to volunteer or be a friend or a neighbor that can drive folks. And then again, the ongoing COVID isolation has really caused people to be very fearful of even getting out in the community and figuring out ways that are a little bit different or new to them to use. Next slide, please. So partnering for success. Throughout this entire process, we've had several different things that have come up, and I'm going to show you. We brought copies for folks if you'd like these. It is called How to Get There If I Don't Drive. Under the Healthy Brain Initiative, we received a grant that wanted us to put together a handbook of transportation for Placer County. It's the first one that we're aware of that was out there, and friends of mine who, like Tink Miller, who's with Peers, they've been around for a long time. She said, we've never had this before. We were pretty excited. We have 33 pages of ways to get around. I was real excited the day that an 82-year-old woman called me and she needed to get to Reno, and she thanked us for this book because she figured out how to get to Reno on public transportation on her own from looking at this. So we were successful in at least that one venture. And I learned so much about public transportation. It was stunning to all of us, and we were very excited about that piece. We also work with a transportation operators working group called the TOG meeting. That consists of all the public transporters that are in Placer County. We sent this out to them. They reviewed their piece, took a look at it, said, we don't like what you wrote, sent it back, said, we'd rather you do it this way. So we made changes, so we were in cooperation with them. We published 20,000 of those. When this slideshow was put together, we had 7,230 out in the community. As of today, we actually have 9,400 of those in the community. So about half of them are out and about. And the great ladies from the library here and from the Fab 50 over at MyDo said, we'll take whatever you have left tomorrow at their big event. So we're happy to send those out so you guys can help us distribute that. In addition to that, we have, and we'll look at a slide later, that shows you what I call the transportation cheat sheet. It takes the service providers, commercial service providers, and puts it onto a 4-page, one-line item for each one of them telling you what they transport to and how they do it, so that if you're looking, some people are just looking, I need a transporter that is out of Roseville that can transport someone in a wheelchair. And you'll be able to look, and I can tell you off the top of my head, but that sheet will tell you where they transport people to and where they originate. So that is out there as well. We also have disbursement through the Aging Disabilities Resource Connection, the Adrc Partners. Our major partners there include Area 4 on Aging, Placer Independent Resource Services, acronym is PEERS, Del Oro Caregiver Resource Center in collaboration with a Placer County Adult System of Care. In addition, this year in January, we started telephoning, and we did a survey looking at why we had so many people registered, but they weren't using the program. I got 400 people out there, but only 200 people are actually sending us a reimbursement request. So we did a survey about that. We're going to do that survey again starting in September. We're going to look at this again. And what we found mostly from the survey is I wanted to be registered just in case I need you. Okay. So partnering, we've also done presentations to the Adult Protective Services staff, in-home support services staff, Healthy Brain Initiative, Placer 211 Connecting Point. Ulysses runs that program, and we have met with them on 2 occasions, and they actually are partnering with us to expand some services. We are looking at doing presentations for, like Jane mentioned, senior center groups such as Eschaton, when we're out in the public again, and upcoming presentations to all the low-income housing units for sure. Next slide, please. Community impact. Here's Stephanie Verstra. She was, in this particular instance, up at Lake Tahoe, because that is in Placer County, part of it. And we wanted to let you know what impact we've had on the community. Our particular program, Placer Rides, youngest client was 5 days old. His mom and dad, Dad was working and was unable to get home to be able to take them to his first well baby appointment, so we were able to do that. We assisted Mom in getting set up with Medi-Cal for rides for Medi-Cal for the future for her. She was really diligent, by the way. I give her tons of credit. And our oldest client was 97 years old with macular degeneration. The first call that I received early on in this program was from a lady that had just registered with us. She lived in Colfax. She's 84 years old, living alone, and she had to get to the emergency room. So she called an ambulance to get there. But once you're ready to go home, she had the people in the emergency room call us, and we arranged a ride to take her home. We were very careful in who we chose to take her home because we do have several companies that not only do they walk you to the door, but they'll check your home, make sure that it's safe. They make sure that they feel that that you're safe getting in by yourself. She called us later to thank us, saying that she didn't have any idea. I'll tell you what the emergency room does. It calls a cab for you and you pay for it. So we took care of that ride for her. So that was one of our really early rides. I have a couple of other stories that I have a young man who works for us, and he has a lot of heartstring stuff going on out there. He had told us a story about an elderly gentleman that had been diagnosed with cancer. Neither he nor his wife were able to drive, and so they needed to get him to chemotherapy. And when they called, the wife actually cried on the phone and told him that, he was an angel and he had wings growing out of his back. If he couldn't tell, they were going to make sure that he knew that, because we arranged rides for the husband to go to chemotherapy with one of our commercial providers. So that was one of our more heart-wrenching stories as well. We also had a lovely lady who was 84, discharged from the hospital, went home, was so happy to be home with her puppies, and called us to make arrangements to go back to a doctor's appointment that had been set up for her 3 days down the road. Andrew, our ride coordinator, called her back the following day to let her know, I'm going to cry, that we'd arranged a ride for her and she'd passed away during the night. So that's one of the things you have to learn, too, is how to deal with those types of things. But he'd had a lovely conversation about coming home to her dogs. She knew we were going to get back to her and we'd be able to get her to the doctor in a couple of days. Okay. Could you skip that page and let's go to the next one? So here are the two things that I just spoke to. One is the handbook that you're welcome to take as many as you like. I have a small pile here today. And the other one on the left-hand side is what our, I call our cheat sheet looks like. It's 4 pages long, front and back. We can mail it out easier than we can mail these out. And it also gets in being updated right now. We have 2 brand new commercial providers. And I'm kind of pleased to say that we had to go out and search for providers when we first started. And I'll tell you how fun that was, because I'd stop at a stoplight, and in front of me one day there was a bus, and it said, I think it was Westar Transport. I got my phone out, clicked it, sent it to the staff, find out who these people are, where are they at, what can they do for us. And my executive director was doing the same thing. So those types of services are all on there. We also, and I want to give Auburn and the other transporting agencies kudos. Auburn just recently, last September, started a program called On-Demand Service. So they have the cutest little bus you have ever seen with flowers all over it. Takes me back to the hippie days, right? Mm-hmm. And I saw them stopped at a stop sign the other day. You can call in Auburn, the On-Demand Service. They will come and pick you up if it's within about 2 hours, take you to dinner, whatever. Starts at 7 in the morning, costs you $1.75 one way. Awesome service. I know that Placer County Transit is also working on doing other what they call micro services like that. So you have not only the curb-to-curb service, but it's like a taxi cab with a cute little white bus with flowers all over it. And it's been very successful for folks. They're getting out to the dinner, to the movies, and it's not terribly costly. So that's my presentation today. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I will now open up comment from the commission. Okay, seeing that there's no, I'll make a comment. Thank you very much for coming and giving us a presentation. It's good to learn about this. One of our issues that we've, always been at the top of mind is transportation. How do we help the older adult, right? What does that look like? Where is a cheat sheet? How can we even, let them know? So for sure, I'll be grabbing one of those books to have that handy, and that'll be really helpful tomorrow at the event as well, too, as people stop by the table to have that information. So thank you. Mm-hmm. Now I will go ahead and open it up for public comment. So if anyone in the audience would like to say anything, now's your opportunity.
I definitely would need a copy of that.
What?
I definitely would like a copy of that.
Do you know, as you were speaking, I was thinking, I wonder how many people at Eschaton, which I'm going to call Cindy and ask her.
Please call Cindy.
Okay, are actually enrolled in the program. Because if you're lucky enough to be one of those 40% that can drive someone, if they file the invoice every month, what happens with that, just so you know, is that they file an invoice with us. The driver has to sign saying, acknowledging they gave the rides. They also, the rider says, yes, I really got those rides. And then we send out a check, and our checks go out right around the 15th or the 20th of the month. They go directly to the rider. So the rider then cashes the check and pays the person who drove them. But if you're at least getting gas money today, because...
You just do it.
Yep. It's an awesome piece to help encourage people who can drive their folks to be out there for them.
And if you do have a comment, if you could come up to the podium, please, it just helps. Thank you.
Thank you, you do. I have several friends that are using the Dial-A-Ride to do similar kinds of things. They're here in Roseville. So how does that coordinate with your program for Placer Rides?
One of the things that very good question, by the way, and it leads me to another thing that's not in the slide presentation because it's something that we're in discussion with Placer County Transit on right now. So the first thing we're going to ask you is, can you use public transportation? A lot of us can't use public transportation. It's way too hot to stand at a bus stop. I can't get to the bus stop, but Dial-A-Ride comes directly to your door. It does not go everywhere. It goes, they have a limit of how far it is from the major bus route, and it's in some cities it's a half mile, in some cities it's 3/4 of a mile. The bus then comes to the curb, so it's a curb-to-curb service. Some people can't use curb-to-curb service because they can't get either out of their home to the bus or whatever it may be. Those rides don't coordinate with us, but we do encourage people to try to use it. They have something called subscription service. Subscription service means, let's say I have dialysis, and I need to go every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday to dialysis. I could schedule those, and you go on a regular route that comes those days. Those rides run anywhere about $1.50 to $1.75 each. We have been told by many people we can't even afford that. So the next thing that we're looking at, and this is a future thing that we've talked with Mike Costa from Placer County Transit about, they do have some funds available where we could purchase vouchers, bus tickets for people. So that's going to be the next piece that we look at.
Okay.
But we want you to look at Dial-A-Ride first because it does come to the curb. It comes right to you.
So these are two separate programs and two separate applications that they'd have to make? Okay,
Yeah, good
great.
question.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay, thank you. So now we'll go ahead and move on. Our next item is item 6.4, City of Roseville Fitness Membership, and I'll pass it over to Commissioner Ambrosi.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. I want to start by saying that healthy aging in Roseville starts with fitness, and that was given to us in a flyer here I think when I first joined. And luckily here in Roseville, we do have a fitness program called Core Fitness through the Park and Recreation and Library, or PRL. And, but unfortunately, lately there have been some concerns which were reported to me. I am a member regarding Core Fitness membership plans, specifically the annual membership, corporate membership, which in my knowledge is available only if you are grandfathered in. There are no current annual memberships being offered. Corporate annual membership increased to $290 beginning January 1st of 2022. The concerns directly addressed to me include, and I'm not going to elaborate too much, but just basic information, inaccurate and or inconsistent information on annual corporate membership, renewal rates. The price of annual membership and renewal dates are elusive. I even had a case where someone was grandfathered in when they went to renew their membership, were told they had to go to monthly. And that caused a big increase in the fees, almost a 75% increase. These significant price increases will happen if annual memberships are switched to monthly. And again, they were done without notice, and they were done in error. monthly rates, and then the monthly rates, if you go to monthly after you've been switched, there's no allowance for being a Roseville resident or any senior discounts. So I'm going to leave it at that right now. I do have action plan, but I wanted to hear from more people if anyone else wants to ask me questions or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay?
I'll kick this off. So I appreciate you bringing this to the commission because I've also heard this information prior to you requesting it to go onto the agenda. So just for a little context, as Commissioner Ambrosi did mention, so right now we do have a corporate membership, an annual corporate membership in place, which we are no longer offering. The current members in that membership are grandfathered in at this time. So that is correct. Our monthly, and right now the cost of that corporate annual membership is $290. So I think when we started it originally, it might have been around $210 many years ago. In September of 19, we increased it to, in 2020, we increased it to $250. And then in 2022, we increased it to $290. And part of the reason with that was trying to close a little bit of a gap. I mean, certainly as we move, so normal practice for us in all of our programs, whether it's memberships or recreation programs or rental fees or whatever, every year we evaluate fees. We benchmark other facilities or like programs, and then we come up with kind of what makes sense, what keeps us competitive, while offering a great value to the community. And so as a normal practice, that's just something we do all the time. So currently the monthly membership, if you had a monthly membership only, it's $42. The corporate membership currently at $290 is what that comes out to be. It's $24 a month. So it certainly is a pretty good deal. There is, and I will say that, I've talked to a few of the folks here in the audience that the idea of eliminating the corporate membership, we're not there. We don't know, and I apologize, we don't know how that information got out. I don't know if it was just misinformation that was expressed, but we have right now no plans to remove the corporate membership program from those who are grandfathered in. As I said earlier, right, we do evaluate every year fees, programs, membership options. Ironically, prior to this topic, we have a staff workshop meeting here in the next couple of weeks to evaluate our membership program, our membership options. One to include, because you are correct, we do not offer a senior membership discount program at this point. That is something that we will be talking about because we think there's validity to that. We think there's value to that. We just don't currently in our program, in our options, we don't offer that. But it is something that we are very interested in talking through to kind of come up to really what that means. In addition to other programs, we've talked about military discounts. We've talked about teen and youth discounts. We've talked about, when kids come home from school in the summer, can we offer a 3-month membership program to capture those folks that are back? So we're really excited to kind of expand what we have to offer to really create a wider reach within our community, to create more interest to come participate at the Mike Shellito Indoor Pool, the Roseville Sports Center, the Mighty Community Center, the Roseville Aquatics Complex. So we are having those conversations here in the next few weeks to talk about that. If anything were to happen, we're looking at a new year implementation, January 1, rolling something out like that. So again, I just want to reiterate that at this moment, there's really no talk or no desire to eliminate the corporate membership, the annual corporate membership at this time. But to be fully transparent and open, that we will continue to just to evaluate what those fees are, if we're in a good market, a good place with what that is. Right now that is a 50% discount on the monthly membership. So it's, and so currently we do have when I talked about senior memberships, we do have options for, we have low income options that's available to both seniors and really anybody who fall within a low income tier. And I think it's a 50% off membership rate. We're also looking at potentially modifying that and creating a scholarship program effective January 1, which will dig a little bit deeper for folks who meet a low income criteria, that will have an opportunity to be given potentially kind of a set amount onto their account and allow them to utilize that towards membership discounts, towards programs, and a variety of other things. So again, trying to reach all members of the community in a variety of ways and trying to be as diverse as we can in options. Something we haven't done in a very long time in looking at those. And so something that we have scheduled to look at here in the next few weeks to start those conversations. So, but I appreciate you bringing that up, because it gives us the opportunity to kind of talk a little bit about what we're working on for the very near future. So, so that's the information I have.
Thank you. I will now open up comment from the commission.
I have one question. Why is the corporate membership only available to those who are grandfathered in?
The reason why we no longer offer the corporate membership, because what we were finding is, one, certainly the rate, being at 50% discount it's a pretty big gap. We felt that folks that were coming in were not legitimate in maybe having a corporation, and so we didn't have a good handle around that process. Mm-hmm. And so we felt it was in the best interest to go, and then looking at the numbers a little bit, we just thought it was in the best interest of the program to stop offering those and gear people in a different way.
So you were thinking of them as being more of a corporate or business kind of membership?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So if you're calling it an annual membership that's open to anybody who's a resident of Roseville, then why would you, in January of 23, I presume, have that new category available at a discount, because you're collecting all the money up front for a year?
So I'm sorry, so just to clarify, are you asking why we don't have an annual membership? Or, I'm sorry.
Well, maybe it's two questions.
Okay.
Maybe, why don't you have an annual membership?
Sure.
Because that really makes a lot of sense financially for people who can't afford to make the one big payment. But then secondly, if you're going to be putting out a new rollout of something
Mm-hmm.
on January 1st of 2023, I would really recommend that you look at an annual membership and again, entertain these other ideas of discounts for low-income seniors and veterans and youth. I think those kinds of discounts. If we want to be a healthy city, we really need to encourage people to be taking care of themselves and getting in their exercise. And every incentive that we as a city can offer, if we need corporate sponsorship, then maybe we should go to Kaiser and Sutter and say, could you make a contribution to this program? Right. Because obviously most of our people are insured through those two very major programs, and maybe now Adventist Health as well. So I think that there's some options out there to help close the gap of the funding in a way that really still benefits most of the citizens.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. I think really, it's really to create a healthy community, right? And so, and that is why kind of we're going back to the table and going, how can we create more opportunity and options for a variety of people? And so that's exactly what we're going to do. So, and we're excited about it because I think, again, to kind of reach people we haven't been able to reach before, we see a positive future with being able to do that, and again, I think if we did anything, it would be January 1. Yeah, effective January 1.
Any other comments from the commission?
I just have one. I wanted to just follow up with Kathleen. I think I never thought of that, but I like her idea a lot. Is there a way to look at when you meet in 3 weeks or when you're going to talk about this, if I know there's no plans to get rid of the corporate membership, I understand that. But when the plan is to get rid of the corporate membership eventually then can there still be an annual membership?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And certainly that's been part of our conversation as we're kind of developing what we want to talk about at our meeting is, right now we don't have an annual membership. And partly it's because very, very few people took advantage of the annual membership itself. And they really started going towards the monthly because what the monthly does, it allows people to pause or, cancel after a month and so it was more flexible and more, I think, customer service friendly for people to do that. People just weren't taking advantage of the annual itself. So we decided that that's something people weren't asking for, which was pretty evident. And so we ended up removing that. But yes, we did talk about, is it time to bring that back in some fashion? So for sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
I will now open it up to public comment. Please do step up to the podium and state your name.
I am Kathleen from Roseville. And thank you, Jeff, for being here to talk to this. I am a resident of Roseville, have been for 20-some years. I also paid a big Melrose on my house to get that Shalito pool built in my neighborhood. So I am very invested in use of that. I go once or twice a day to the pool. I'm not alone in that.
Sure.
There are many that are taking advantage of that incredible indoor facility. And they do it all through the lap swimming, they do it through classes, they do it through swim. The group that I'm with at the pool has also contributed to the Swim Foundation with money for children to have swimsuits, towels, and swimming lessons. So it is an active group that's there and have been faithful, very faithful to the pool and the community that we're trying to build. This misinformation is kind of a misnomer. I am talking from a frontline position, not what the policy is. From the front line, we have members that have gone up and have been grandfathered in annual memberships, went for their renewal, which my renewal was June 15th, and we're told, oh, we can't, there's no more annual membership. Then we were told, well, if you use the word grandfathered, the staff would say, oh, okay, well, I guess you can. It depended individually how you pressed it. Others who just were a little shocked because nothing had come out, nothing had been said, were told that they could only renew at a monthly or a punch card per visit. So I'm just going to give you some numbers. Somebody's referenced it already. Thank you. The cost of an annual membership this year is $290, as you said. The cost of the monthly is $42. $42 times 12 equals $504 a year, as opposed to $290 for the annual. The cost of the punch card is only $5 a visit. I go sometimes 3 times a day to swim. That would be $15. But let's say I only went once. $5 a class times 30 days comes out to $150 a month. That times 12 months comes out to $1,800 a year, as opposed to the $290 that I pay. Maybe I'm using everybody else's time in that class because I go so often, but it's only 3 blocks from my house, so I'm going to take care of it. Seniors that are on limited and fixed incomes, of course, can't afford that kind of variation. And they already know how to calculate this out. So when they're told there is no more annual for you, this is your only option, or monthly or punch card, they can calculate exactly how much it's going to be for them. And they don't have a 25 or 50% or 78% increase in their income to cover this. And that has never been the policy at Roseville. The dial-a-ride is tremendously helpful and income friendly to seniors. Every program that you have at Roseville for seniors has always had a discount or something else. I have members here that I think are going to come up, I'm not sure. Speaking as a single woman, I can tell you when you're standing up in front of a staff that tells you you only have this option, monthly or punch card, and you have no other option, you are not going to make a scene. You take that shock internally, you try to figure out what it's going to be, and you can be quite embarrassed that you don't have the finances to cover that. Not one person that I talked to or that others have talked to have ever mentioned an application for a low income. And I don't think your staff knows about it. You know, I would tell you maybe this is just the pool staff, except this is also the fitness center giving out this information. This is all of your staff giving out this information, and the information differs as to which shift they're on and which manager's in place. So when you tell us that nothing has been decided, that has not been our experience. And we have members who have left, who are not coming back because they couldn't afford it. And they're not going to say that they couldn't afford it. They're embarrassed by it. And they're missing out on the health benefits of doing that, you know. And I don't think anybody wants that to happen to them, you know. So I'm glad I got my annual membership, but I would press it. But there's so many others that won't, and they need it even more than I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, just remember to state your name, and you're limited to
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
My name is Sandy. I've lived in Roseville for 36 years, and I'd like to thank Renee for getting us on the agenda today, because we didn't really know before meeting Renee at the pool that there was a senior commission. So that was great. I have written my speech down. Some of it may be a little repetitive, but I'm going to go through it. So we understood that fees would be increasing and that annual memberships would no longer be available. However, those with current annual memberships would be grandfathered in. And as long as our membership was kept current and we didn't let it lapse. As memberships became due, we found out fees went from $210 to $290. Jeff, you said it went to $250 in between. I don't know. I'm not sure. Most of us remember $210 to $290. I think it's varied. But, you know, it was okay. We'll go to $290. We were fine with that. But several other occurrences happened that made us look at this a little more closely. And so after calculating, we figured out that this is a 38% increase. When we go from 210 to 290, that's 38%. That is an increase. And I wonder if the city actually realized that it was a 38% increase. And again, but you did mention that you look at other user fee twos, and I wonder if other fees that the city, asked for activities was increased by that much. Anyways, some of these other and strange inconsistent occurrences, like Kathy just mentioned, some went in and were put on a monthly, even though they were annual memberships. Some got their annuals renewed. Some got their annual extended for several months. Most were told there were no annuals, not even for grandfathered for next year. Some were giving conflicting expiration dates. I personally was given 3 different expiration dates on 3 different days, 2 different facilities. Some were told grandfathered annuals are never going away. Some were told absolutely no annuals in 2023. We have a mess here. You know, add to that, because we are seniors, things happen to our bodies that require surgeries, and we suspend our membership for a month or 2. And we can, of course, throw in COVID just to add to the chaos of determining everybody's expiration date. We need to stop. We need to take a breath and take time to figure out for everyone and communicate what is going to happen for both members and for employees. Training is needed. For many years, we were notified of, by mail or by phone, of our membership status. This hasn't happened for many years, or it's very inconsistent at best. So the lack of communication has created this chaos. As far as the increases, I'll just kind of skip through that because we know that going to 290 was 38, and if in 2023, if we have to pay the 504, that's an additional 73% increase. And most of us are seniors. We're on fixed incomes. On the average, Social Security increases are 2% a year. This year it was slightly higher. Yes, everything is costing more. The average inflation over the last 10 years is 2.54%, ranging from a low of 0.12 to 9.1% this year. In the past, our Social Security increase could barely keep up with inflation. But what are we supposed to do with a 38% increase? More importantly is our health. These activities are beneficial because it is low impact, raises our heart rate, protects joints, and prevents jarring, builds muscle strength, increases flexibility, burns calories, helps mental health, and it is accessible to all. There are other things that we're concerned about: canceled classes, the lack of knowledge of different activities for deep water versus shallow water activities. There are many things going on, and we would be welcome to help give you input on some possible solutions. So our goal is to remain a healthy, contributing member of the City of Roseville. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up. Yep, just state your name.
Okay, that's wonderful. My name is Bill Bunch. I live in Rockland, and we've been going to the pool. Well, my wife actually started swimming there when it first started, and then I got involved in what was happening, and then I found out how good that actually was. I'm a physical educator, and I'm well aware of once you get in the pool, it takes all the weight off your body, and you get flexibility that you didn't have. So this last COVID deal, we were on the annual thing of $290, and we paid that once a year, and everything was groovy. After COVID, however, we were put on an annual deal, and I was told that I no longer qualified for the membership for the school that I belonged to. The school had a annual deal that I could join, and it was fine. I don't want to see it go up on any of this unless it's necessary to go up to make sure everything's still on its way. What I do know is I look around in the pool, like this morning when I was there, the cold water pool or the lap pool, it was full. The warm water pool that I was in, it was full. That is quite a program that's going on over there. The people that use the pool deserve the right to be able to afford the capability of getting better and better and better. And I've seen individuals get in the pool 3 years ago who couldn't walk. You stand next to a guy who couldn't walk. He came in, they lowered him in the pool with the little lower, the wheelchair lift. Now he gets in the pool, walks out of the pool, walks over, and he goes to Alaska to go fishing. Excuse me, that's the best of life as far as I'm concerned. So you do have something that everyone can use if it's set up properly. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
I think I can.
Just state
My name
your...
is Joe. Oh, Joe. I started the pool almost 6 years ago. I went to my doctor and asked him, well, we have to do something about my back. I have trouble with the pain and everything, and I was taking Allegra every 4 hours to get me through the day. And so I started at the pool with Joanne, and after the first week, I was off my Advil. So I've been consistently going to the pool for the last 5 or 6 years, and except for during COVID. And it has helped me to no extent, you know. So, but I'm concerned about the rates that they're coming up with, and adding, you know, if it goes to the monthly, that's, you know, $200 more than what we're paying now. And so I'd like to know which way is it going to go, you know, so we have some input and maybe somebody we can talk to at the pool that has an insight too, so maybe keep them informed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no further public comment, I'll go ahead and move on. Our next item is 6.5, Adult Programming and Events Update. And I'll let the staff introduce themselves.
You want to go first? No. Okay. Oh.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Annie Stanko. I am the PRL coordinator that oversees FAB, taking over for the amazing Laura Bell. I'm just here to give you an update on kind of the things that we've gotten in place. Laura Bell really set me up for success, and I've kind of just gone from there. Our day trips have kicked off, so we are going to Red Hawk now. We got our casino trip going, which booked probably the 3 days after I put out the sign-in sheet. We are headed to Cirque du Soleil at the end of the month. We're going to do the Van Gogh exhibit, which we're all really excited for. And then we also started our lunch bunch. So we're doing that. Our members are super excited. When I first started, I put out a list and kind of asked for their feedback on the things that they wanted to see come back, and I've kind of just built from there. We're bringing back workshops, so I'm working with Sutter and Dignity Health to bring some health workshops, 6-week programs that are going to come. So we're really excited for that. That's at the end of the year and then the beginning of next year. And then I am getting an IT workshop going to get, a lot of our members are struggling with like Zoom calls and how to utilize Uber and Lyft and all of that stuff. So I have someone who retired from Intel. He's going to come do a workshop and then do one-on-ones with them. So they can sign up for 15 minutes and they bring whatever question they have, and he works with them one-on-one. So it's really going great. I'm excited. The seniors, I mean, we're all having a really great time over there. So it's going great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm Sarah Schleihofer. I am a librarian with the Roseville Public Library. And we faced a lot of challenges during the pandemic, but I'm proud to say that we thought outside the box. We were very creative with providing library resources and services to especially our senior community. We opened as quickly as we possibly could with safety and efficiency. Seniors could apply for library cards online, which was a new service for us, and had digital content available within 2 business days. Once those library cards were obtained, they could place holds and pick up their library materials safely at the sidewalk. So those 2 items were new services that we continue to provide today. We also paused our overdue fines. We understood that folks might have transportation issues, and so during COVID, we took a pause on that. Seniors could email the library directly, and we would help them with reading recommendations. I know that doesn't sound like much, but when you're a senior and you're walking into a facility and browsing the shelves and looking at displays, all of a sudden having that all gone is a little daunting. Myself, being the outreach and marketing librarian, we did Zoom meetings. So I coordinated those with a lot of the senior community technology teams, and I was able to present how to use our library card
catalog, how to use the databases, and we actually saw quite an increase in our online newspapers and the online stock reporting. So even though we were kind of locked down a little bit or had a change in our everyday activities, we actually saw substantial increases into both of those. I personally have made presentations to senior communities. I make myself available to present any and all content. We did a holiday presentation to a senior community for gift ideas that they might give to their grandchildren or children. In conjunction with Annie here, we are participating in the FAB newsletter. So if you pick that up, you'll see all the library activities and then also reading recommendations or featured services. And you're going to be seeing some new ideas there that are coming on. And finally, I'd like to mention the Be Well Roseville initiative. We were a big part of the Age Well event that was held in April. And we just look forward to continuing senior tours. If that's something people are interested in, I should be the one you contact. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Let me throw one more out there. Some of you might or might not know, tomorrow out at the Maidu Community Center, the Placer County is hosting a senior fair from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., I believe it is. Senior resources, senior information. I think if they'll have a few workshops. They'll have a shred event, so you have an opportunity to bring documents that you want shredded to the community center, and they'll shred them for you for free. Annie has a flyer here.
We're going to have lunch served from Salvation Army, so that's going to be going on. We're going to have 50-plus vendors there. There's going to be a lot of really great stuff, and it's free to come. They do have a 2-box maximum for the box shredding, because last year they were bringing car loads in, so they had to put a limit on that. But yeah, we're there all day. You can see our facility too, because it's held at Maidu, and that's where all of our FAB programming's done. So it's going to be a great time.
And we will have a senior commissioner table. So many of our commissioners will be hosting a table there to interact with the community and really just have conversations about, how things are going. What are they looking for us here in the city? What do they want us to do? What do they want us to pay attention to? And just, I think there's a lot of value in having those discussions and conversations. And then, we'll look at what comes out of that and see where we go with that. But Placer County has done this at the Maidu Community Center, I think, for the last several years, other than I think the last 2 because of the COVID. But they run a great event, and it's packed. I mean, they have some really good resource vendors at this fair. So I just encourage, 10 to 2, swing on by. It could be a little crazy, but certainly swing on by and check it out.
Thank you. Now I will open it up for comment from the commission.
I'd like to say I was at the library Monday, and I just want to give you this feedback. And there was a man there who didn't really know how to work the system or how to get a book or, and the librarian really solved his issues, and it was so respectful and offered to get him a book that wasn't there on Amazon and have it sent to his house. I couldn't believe it. And then at the end, he goes, I just want to thank you. That is the best service I've had. And I just wanted you to know that. I was just checking a book, and I saw that whole interaction. It was impressive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just like to say, too, thanks for sharing, right? Because we wonder, okay, what did happen, to the libraries? I did see a lot of, books on tables. I thought you guys were sending out good communication. So a great resource for our community here in Roseville. So thank you. Any other commissioners like to say anything? Okay, I will open it up now for public comment. Please, again, just state your name.
Get your name for the library.
My name is Sarah Schleihofer. Yes.
I have to tell you, it's Kathleen again. I use your digital services, And I travel quite a bit, and you carry everything on your phone. So you can be in the airplane, you can read magazines right on it, but they have audiobooks also in the digital service, which I have some macular degeneration, so I can't use it for extended stays. I have listened to 6-hour audiobooks on travel and everything else. But you also have a wonderful children's selection that's available through that. So for all of the kids that are out there that need some sort of service, especially your children, as a former first grade teacher, your children that have English as a second language and need to hear language, those books are wonderful that you have. I wish there were more, that you have, but it is an excellent service and all free. You just need a library card. It's absolutely fabulous. Just wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Our collections are expanding to more audio, text. We have Wonder Books. We have Vox Books for the children, which has the Playaway inside of it. But also, just to mention, digital ebooks, you can change the font size. I'm in your community. I'm your age group, believe it or not. But I'm always increasing the font size on my device as well. So keep reading, Roseville.
It's very, very helpful, yes, as you're trying to look at your phone and where are my glasses? Where did they go? So yes, so thank you. Okay, if no other public comments, we will now move to item 6.6, the World Health Organization Age-Friendly Cities Survey.
Yes, so Commissioners, I just want to kind of give you an update on where we're at with the process of starting the survey for this year. In 2012, the City of Roseville embarked on a journey to join cities worldwide and become a member of the World Health Organization Global Network of Age-Friendly Cities. At that time, information gathered from the Area for Agency on Aging stated that over the next 25 years, Roseville population of adults over the age of 50 is expected to increase by 25%. The Age-Friendly Cities program is an international effort to help cities prepare for two main demographic trends: the rapid aging of populations and the increasing urbanization. The program targets the environmental, social, and economic factors that influence the health and well-being of older adults. As part of the WHO, the World Health Organization, friendly designation, cities are committed to submit a progress report at the end of every 5-year cycle, outlining progress against indicators developed during the last survey period. Well, we're sitting here in 2022. This marks our next 5-year cycle. Mm-hmm. The City of Roseville will be collaborating with AARP on this effort. Additionally, this project will continue to help guide the development of strategies, policies, programs to establish Roseville as an age-friendly community. The project is centered on gathering information about the opinions, attitudes, and needs of the city's residents who are 50 and over. The information gathered will help identify potential barriers, services, and programs that serve the city's older residents and, in turn, the community at large. Key areas covered by the survey will include housing, outdoor spaces and buildings, transportation and streets, health and wellness, social participation, inclusion, education opportunities, and volunteering and civic engagement. So what are the next steps? In the coming weeks, the City of Roseville will be making available a comprehensive electronic and written survey for residents 50 and over. The survey will be made available in a variety of methods: hard copies at many of our facilities, electronic survey found on the City of Roseville webpage. We'll blast it out through social media, and we'll also work and reach out to some of our area partners, such as senior living facilities and communities. For those who complete the survey, their privacy will be protected, and their information will remain anonymous throughout this whole information gathering process. The deadline to complete and submit the survey will be a date not yet identified, sometime in October or November. In early 2023, staff will present a report to the Commission on the results of the survey to include a comparison from 2017 to 2022. Survey findings, a projection and analysis of demographic and current trends, and identification of key issues and opportunities for Roseville. Finally, staff will forward the completed Age-Friendly Cities report to the City Council for their approval, followed by forwarding the report onto the World Health Organization. So that concludes my update regarding this process. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and open up for comment from the commission.
Do you have a estimated time frame for getting it to the city council?
So if we do not. If we have a deadline of, I'm just going to pick something, the end of November to get the survey results back, a few months for me to kind of analyze that, start to put together a report, bring it to the senior commission here for their review, and then on to city council. So my guess would be maybe the first quarter or the first 3 months of the new year, potentially, but I don't have a date for that. Yeah, but early in the new year.
We would get to see that, and then we
100%.
could definitely go to that city
100%,
council
yeah.
meeting.
Yes.
And clarification on those topics that the survey is going to cover.
Sure. So the topics will be, so they're different domains, if you will. So it's going to have some questions on housing, outdoor spaces and buildings, transportation and streets, health and wellness, social participation, inclusion, and education opportunities, and then volunteering and civic engagement.
I'll make a comment, only because I was involved in the beginning of this whole thing. It is on the site, AARP, and I welcome people to go look where we were. We've used our own survey, and we're going to use since AARP has joined the process with the WHO organization, we're going to use their survey. And you can go online, you'll have to search on the AARP for the survey. There's one that was done, 2011 is when we first joined, and they weren't together, they weren't partnered with AARP. So it's missing some of the information. So we hope to update all that and be current with what we have from this survey. They will help us send it out to all the people who are AARP members. They have the email list, so it's going to go to a much broader audience than we had before. And if we find some problematic issues, like we found transportation and some of ours, we will do some focus, probably, I would suggest, from us, focus surveys with the MIDU senior group or our ones that we have in our membership, so that we can look focused and we can look at the broad spectrum of the whole community, which will include Sun City also. So we won't do separate things. It'll be together as the whole survey. And once we get to look at that whole, it'll be a little bit dependent upon AARP getting back the survey results. We'll look at the whole and make a presentation after discussing with everybody to the council. And what we do is on their decision and what they would like to spend the money on or focus on, then we will help let everybody know that. So not only will we do the survey, we will let people know what we've discovered and what the plans are with the city. So it will take a little bit of time, but I think we'll come out with a much better result with a much larger group survey using the AARP email list.
And I'd like to say, I think Bobby's being modest here. So when I first started on this commission, this was one of the first things that we discussed, is how there was a survey done before, and being part of the WHO. It has led a lot of the discussions that we have, or looking further into different focus areas, like she was saying. So that's part of what we do. It's part of what guides us as well. So it's, hopefully you get a copy of the survey. Hopefully your neighbors do, or you hear about them getting the survey as you're in the pool or at one of your fitness areas. But I think it'd be really great to have a lot of participation in filling it out, because it does then make an impact, right? Sometimes we get surveys and you're like, where does this go? Who cares who's listening? We are listening. So I would just like to say again, thanks, Bobby. I know it's a passion project of yours.
Well, I think it's a city identified as an age-friendly city is very important, and it's out there. There aren't many cities. If you look on the map, people are starting to realize that it's a really good thing to look at, especially Roseville. Look at our parks and recreation. Look at our library. we have a lot of things that are really friendly to the age, and we speak up, which is good. So I just encourage everybody to, whether you fill it out, your friends fill it out, somebody has trouble using the online, we'll have many copies, especially at MyDo and other areas that we figure seniors go to. Sun City and some of those, and encourage them. This is the whole city. It's not, a couple of them said, well, I live at Sun City, I don't have to worry about what they do at the city. It's bigger than that. It's eight domains. It looks at your whole city as a whole, not just all your parks and recreation activities. We have many parks. So I think it's really important that you fill it out and you have others, and then they'll get to hear what we have to say. So I want to take this time also to thank you for those who came about the pool, because we had last year, I think, pickleball people, and we didn't realize the problem, and it got solved. So if we don't hear about it, we can't fix it or can't help work with the city. So I thank you so much for coming and giving us the big impact of what it has on all of you.
So I wanted to say two things, reiterate what she said to you all. You were all so thoughtful, and I can tell you prepared before you came today, and I appreciate you doing that. And we're here every 3 months, so please come and tell your friends. And from what I gather, I think we have a couple of vacancies on our, I don't know when we'll be replacing them, but we need thoughtful people, and I think it's wonderful when they're the people who we're trying to address. So anyway, just putting that out there. But I did have a question. The surveys, how are they distributed to the residents? You may have said that, but I might have missed it.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So in a variety of ways, right? So we'll publish it through social media. That's one method. We'll have it at many of our facilities. So like the Mike Shelton Indoor Pool, you won't be able to miss it. We will have it there. We'll have it on our website, so we'll try to drive people there. As Commissioner Knapp said, ARP will do a blast to those ARP members within the identified zip codes within Roseville. We'll work with our communities, Eschaton, and some of these new senior living communities, and work through them to distribute the information. Hard copies. I mean, we're going to try to hit every single angle we can to get the most and best, reach to get the feedback that, as Bobby had mentioned, it's really the value of that tells us where we need to go and what we need to work on, and where we need to improve, but also it'll also tell us a little bit where we're doing a good job too. So we want to celebrate that as well. So.
Jeff, I have a question. Tomorrow at our table, can we have a sign-up list for people that would like to? Like, is there a way we could have a list and then give it over to you that says, hey, would you like to participate in the survey? And then they give us their names and email addresses?
Sure, I think that's one avenue. We are going to try. We're going to look at this. We're going to try to maybe have the survey available tomorrow. Don't know if that'll happen.
That's optimistic, but at least
yeah. So you might see a stack on your table tomorrow. Okay. So
you can copy.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave this with you.
Right. So,
you're
right. Absolutely.
As long as we could have something that looks official from the city, folks might be willing then to leave us their name and email address that we could then turn over to you.
Absolutely.
Okay, now I will open it for comments from the public. Again, just come up to the podium, state your name.
My name is Sue. First time I've ever been here. I moved to Roseville from Rockland 2 years ago. And just in what I've learned after 2 years, of course, the first year with COVID, I didn't know anybody. It's been fabulous. Special kudos to the fire department, because I had a medical issue in February, and they were there in 5 minutes. Regarding this issue here and this survey, you mentioned senior communities. I know Eschaton is big, Sun City is big. I live in Heritage Solaire. Compared to those, it's really tiny. So I just want to make sure that we get on the map in terms of communications.
You are. I just actually looked at the list the other day, and we have a lengthy list of those, and that is on there.
Oh, awesome!
So you will see it.
Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, come on up. I think I know who should join our commission.
Yeah.
Happy that I could have the last word. So I just wanted to thank the commission for doing all of this, and thank you, Renee, for putting us on the agenda. I know that there's many things. I watch you on Zoom, so this is my first time in this building to watch it. And you do so many things for us that don't get broadcast. It would be wonderful if there was some sort of poster like in the Shalito Pool or the fitness center for people who don't get involved in this kind of thing but want to know, when is there a senior commission? What do they do? How do I watch it? Because there's still a few that won't go out into public settings, and stuff like that, especially those at risk. That would be lovely to have it where they didn't have to navigate a website, to find it, because that's kind of hard. But thank you all. Thank you to the library. Thank you to FAB. Thank you to Seniors First. I have to tell you, Deb, I called Seniors First on a friend who wasn't even in this state, who is a veteran's widow, and she was in desperate need of some help. And Seniors First gave me all of these options. I never talked to them before. The next day, the woman called me back to see if there was anything else that she could do for me. And she didn't know me from Adam. I was so impressed. I mean, that's the kind of service you pay big bucks for. So thank you very much. Thank you all.
I'd like to hop on that a little.
Yes.
Just again, state your name, please.
My name is Jane. And I would like to say thank you as well, because so many times in this day and age, we have so many people who, well, we gripe a lot. And when you're a senior, you got more time to gripe. But it's also nice to be heard. We can be positive, we can be negative, but to be heard is so very important. And when I called the City of Roseville, the Waste Commission, to talk about, just call us this number and we can pick up your e-waste, I have to say I had two different reactions. My first call was to a gentleman who was like, oh, well, sorry, no, we don't. And then my second one was from a young lady who, and again, giving you kudos, that we have all kinds of people responding to our calls. Sometimes they're just interns for the summer. Sometimes they're just volunteers. Information gets mistaken because we're not experts on anything, really. So I just want to say the second young lady who I spoke to was the person who told me, there's a senior commission. There are council persons. You need to talk to them. They will help you. So when you get somebody who says, oh, don't know what to do, that's kind of not what you want to hear. But you get someone like this young Kelly who was nice enough to go through different options for me to approach my subject. It was very nice to hear. So I say, keep in mind everybody's comes from a different place, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we will move on to the board member commissioner staff report. Staff, do you have any additional updates or comments for the commission?
I don't think we do, no.
Okay, thank you. Commission members, do you have any comments or updates for staff? Okay, then I would like to see if there's a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I'll second it.
And take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.